Welcome to the Daily Trend. I am Alexandrine Hans, your host for today, and we're gonna discuss about an interesting and very important topic, sex. I have around my table my co-hosts Miss Patience and Miss Sandra. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let's go on after this short break. Welcome back to your TV show, The Daily Trend. Today we're gonna discuss about all those terms related to sex, such as premarital sex, teenage pregnancy, rape, and abortion rights.
Thank you very much. When you talk about premarital sex, from my point of view, it's a voluntary sexual intercourse between two unmarried partners. And you know, there was a survey conducted some years ago which revealed that when you take the whole worldwide, about 46% seem premarital sex to be morally unacceptable. And then when you compare the developed countries to developing countries, as in Western culture, and then especially we Africans, when you talk about the developed countries, most of them, even less than 10%, seem premarital sex to be morally unacceptable, meaning that majority of the Western people or the Western culture, they follow the premarital sex, they accept it. But then, how do we also accept it as in developing countries? It's on the rise. Even in countries like Iran, India, where premarital sex is banned, it's still on the rise. People are really doing it. They prefer staying with their every would-be spouses before getting married. So it's actually on the rise.
Yes, Miss Sandra, what do you think about this subject?
Okay, I can say premarital sex, as she said, is a sexual intercourse that happens between two people who are not yet married or before their marriage. And then we know that it is something that is considered a taboo in many cultures and even a sin in many religions. But after 1960, it became very common, especially in the Western countries. You see it very common. Everybody is doing it. Everybody is practicing it. And sometimes some parents, they know that their children are engaging in premarital sex, but they don't say anything about it because after all, they've talked and they've advised the children, but that is what they are still doing. So it is something that is very, very rampant in our society today.
And yes, we know that 19% of women have sex before marriage. What can cause it? Is it a religion or what about?
Actually, when it's about the causes of premarital sex, they are numerous. I can start by saying modern contraception. We have the IUDs, the pills, the injections. And because of that, it has eliminated the fear of getting unwanted pregnancies. Because if I have the IUD in my body, if I've gotten the injection, if I have my pills, I can take it any time of the day. So I can engage in premarital sex without any fear. Because there was no contraception, people are afraid that they will engage in premarital sex because they didn't want to get pregnant or have babies before marriage. We're going to talk about the mate markets. Nowadays, there is somehow a competition between the males and the females. As statistics even shows that even in 2030, if we are not careful, it will be a man against 6 ladies. So people have the fear of giving out their partners, their males, to other ladies. They just accept it and do it with their males. Because mostly, when you meet a guy, most of them, they will ask for the sex. And because of the fear that, if I leave him, it will be difficult for me to get it. Maybe you have your checklist.
Yes.
You know, I want this man, I want a man like this, and you've gotten it. Meanwhile, he's in the position of demanding for the sex. Are you going to give it before the marriage or not? And if you don't give, he's moving away. So because of the mate market, people also give in. And you have these modern urban lifestyles, like long level of education. People want to develop themselves. So mostly ladies who indulge themselves in this, developing myself, I want to develop my career. And you know, they go also with age. You will definitely be aged. And your body is not firewood. Definitely you have the desire, you have the urge for the sex. So what are you going to do? Do you get it? So because of that, people also engage in premarital sex, though they've not married, but because of their age and because of their hormones and how their system is relating to the society, they need to engage in premarital sex.
Yes, but sometimes they are saying that because you are not virgin before marriage, you are not a good woman. There is some consequences to have sex before marriage, right?
Yeah, there's some consequences. Before I talk about the consequences, I want to talk about another cause of teenage sex before marriage, sorry. And then, like, I think because of the mindset that it's nothing, it's normal. Because when you check the data survey of family growth, it shows that in America, around 2002, 77 people had premarital sex. And out of the 77 people, 75 were not married. So it shows that only 2% were married before they had that sex. And then it shows us that people have started thinking that it's nothing, it's normal. Oh, what is wrong if I have sex before marriage? People are doing it. I mean, yeah. Sometimes they know that the culture frowns on it, their religion frowns on it. But still, personally, they themselves in their hearts, they have decided that it's nothing. So they'll go on and do it. And then you see that some of the consequences that we tend to get or that comes upon us when we have sex before marriages. For example, like we become rejected because many men in this modern world every man wants to marry a virgin and every man wants a virgin as a wife. But I ask myself, who are those disvirgining these virgins? Or who are those disvirgin those people who are not virgins? It's the same men who did it, but they will come and turn around and say that I want to marry a virgin. So one of the consequences that you get when you engage in premarital on the side of the lady is that you are seen as somebody who is, excuse me to say, dirty. Like you are not regarded just because you had sex before you got married.
And also to add, most of the time you also see that maybe before marriage we assume that maybe you are a virgin. And you know, immediately you gain yourself in premarital sex, lose some kind of self-esteem. You lose your self-esteem because people honored you, the way they saw you from afar, it's actually not what you've become. You get it? So you also kind of lose your self-esteem.
But it's really another way. We can say that it's not acceptable in our society, maybe for religion causes or because of our education, African education don't accept it. But do we, because of that, don't do that or what?
Oh, actually, I always say that. Are you living according to your religion principles? Do you have your own interests? How are you living your life? Are you decisive in your way of life? If you are dependent on your religion principles, I'm sure there's no religion in this world that will say that engage in premarital sex before get married. Actually, I've not met some before. If there is some, you can educate me on that. So I would say that if you're living on your religion principles, then I think you should rather stick to it. You have to be firm as a lady. Be firm in your decisions. Don't say that, because the man will go away, so I want to give it to him for him to stay. No, please be firm in your decisions. Because
but let's study this case. Let's say I am a woman. I'm like 35 years of age, and I'm not yet married just because I refuse to give sex to every man that comes my way, and they leave. And I'm now 38, 39. Like I'm almost at my menopause age, and yet I'm not married just because every man that comes wants to have sex with me before marriage. So because I've lost all the men, what do you think a woman in my position should do? Let's study a case like this. Do you think she should still encourage herself that still I'm standing on my grounds, I'm becoming firm? Before you realize, when she looks left, she looks right, all her mates are married and they are even having children. So like, and she has become like a stigmatized person. People are always criticizing her.
Oh, as I said at first, are you living based on religious principles? Since they always speak against that, they need to be firm in that. But what are also your personal interests? What are your personal decisions of your way of life? If you know that, because of this, because of that, I want to do it, why not? But if you know that I have a maker, I have to live up to that expectation, then you have to be firm in your decisions. You shouldn't say that because my mates are getting married. No, you shouldn't be pressured because of that.
I also think that you have to make sure that like you wait. I know that definitely there will be somebody who will wait for you to like get married to you before the person does that, because I don't know the rush. Definitely you get married to the person and the person will be yours forever. So why the rush? You are rushing into getting into the act before you marry, and then like after marriage everything doesn't seem new to you again. Like it's like we have already explored each other, so like there's nothing new in the marriage that we are going.
Actually, I knew a lady, she was 35, 36 years. I was staying with her. Then we were there one day and the uncle called, Pat, what are you doing? How to get married? If you don't get married, you move for your family. And she came to me and said, patient, look at. She started crying because she was so pressured. She didn't want to do. Meanwhile, there was no money in her life. What did she do? But I encouraged her, please stay calm, okay? The man will come. And then the man came. They got married, and that's in the next 2 months, she got pregnant, and then she gave birth to twins.
Wow.
They get it. Then we have someone who has even gotten married even 18 years before, but the person has not got given birth. But she got married, and in the first year, she gave birth to twins. So, you have to know the way you've planned your life.
But let's study another case, and this time in the perception of men. Men, they say that I want to check how she is. I want to check whether she's sweet in bed. I want to check if she's fertile. So, like, let's say, for instance, I'm a man, and I want to get married, but I just don't want to. You see, marriage is a lifetime, a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Let me put it like that. So like it involves commitment, a lifetime commitment.
Sure.
So I before I get into marriage, I have to make sure that I explore everything about the woman I'm going to marry. That's what the men are saying now. I have to make sure that she's sweet in bed. I have to make sure that she's capable of doing whatever I want her to do in bed. I have to make sure that she can give birth. That's what the men are saying. So what should we say to convince them to know that?
But today we have the medicine, and the science is going up. So if you want to know if your wife can have child, just go to the medicine and you will know.
Exactly.
I think this is the truth.
But I don't know, how sweet do you want to know that she's
I
sweet?
don't know, it baffles me.
Okay. My point is that please don't put in your mind that you want to explore her. In what way? Well, how do you want to explore in what way? But the issue is, how sweet is she? How sweet is she? If you after marriage and you realize that she's not sweet as you were anticipating, please go to the hospital. You have so many remedies for it.
Yes.
You get it? So you can't say that I want to explain because she is sweet. My men are the please. All men are sweet, okay? And even if after marriage she's not sweet, please, there are remedies. You can solve. Every problem has a solution on this earth.
Of course, and we need to take really time to go before have sex before marriage, because when you have it too early, you can face another problem, is the teenage pregnancy. What do you think about this phenomenon, Miss Sandra?
Okay, well, I think teenage pregnancy is a situation where a teenager, that is maybe a girl between the age of maybe 13 and 19 gets pregnant. Although in some countries, when you are 18 years, you are matured legally, but you are still a teenager because that's why they're 18. So you are still a teenager. So the situation whereby a lady in the ages of 13 to 19 gets pregnant, maybe unexpected or maybe expected, can also be expected, but they are still a teenager.
Yeah, it can be expected because we have early marriages.
Yeah.
Maybe the person is married, but the person was below 18 years, the person got married.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know that these teenage pregnancies mostly is found in poorer and marginalized communities. When you take up the world as a whole, when it comes to Africa, we have sub-Saharan African countries like Niger. It's recorded that every year, almost about 53% of the ladies or the girls below 18 years get pregnant. And you know, one major issue is poverty. Because most of them are poor. They don't get access to things that will help them in their lives. And most of them, because they lack sex education. You get it? So they're not really abreast with issues concerning sex. So that they will know. Because, you know, these ladies, most of them, they are below 18 years. And then, did they even get education before? They didn't get. And parents also didn't play their role. You get it? You are from the child since a childhood. So you could have at least given her some education on sex. But she didn't get it, and then she goes out, she's being introduced to it, and you know that situation and that stage, most of them, they are curious. So the child will, I've heard about casing, I've heard about this, so she'll decide to go and explore. Hey, what's casing? What is that? So, you know, hey, that's
this is really important.
Them.
Yeah, this is very important, and we know that we're gonna talk about this just after this break.
Hello and welcome back after this break. As we were saying about teenage pregnancy, another cause of teenage pregnancy can be rape or sexual abuse. And you know, mostly these girls are in schools and the education can be interrupted because mostly, especially in an African setting, if you're a lady and you get pregnant, the family will tell you, okay, you've gotten pregnant, stay at home. Then they just abandon you and your school. But should it always be the case? A child there can be a teenage pregnant, the lady can give birth and then she can continue education. But in African setting, most of the times, the ladies, they tell them to abandon the education. and then they stay at home. So mostly it interrupts the education actually, and doesn't help them to go far on the educational level.
I also think that if you take this issue of teenage pregnancy, you see, it is higher in the African countries more than the Asian countries or in Asia. And then, like, we know that in the developing world, like every year, about 2.5 million females below the age of 19 get pregnant. That is every year. And I think that's one of the cause of this problem is lack of self-control, and then also lack of parental control. Let's take, for instance, a family that the parents are divorced. Now it's like everybody is focusing on him or herself. The man is looking for a way to marry another woman. The woman is also looking for a way to probably marry another man. They are forgotten that they have children they have to take care of. The child can say, "Mommy, I'm going to Daddy." "Okay, you can go." "Daddy, I'm going to Mommy." "Okay, you can go." Since they are not living in the same place anymore, they don't even check to see whether their child really went to where she said she was going. And sometimes after divorce, the parents don't even talk to each other anymore. They keep malice with each other, so they don't even call themselves to even think about the well-being of their children. So I think that's one of the cause of teenage pregnancy.
And most of the times in our settings that they normally give young girls out for marriage, like early marriage. Most of the time, these girls are between the age of 15 to 19 years.
Yes.
And when we talk about 15 to 19 years, meaning they are teenagers.
Yep.
So in the case of they're married, they get pregnant, it also can be termed as teenage pregnancy. Because they're still teenagers. And most of the time, it affects their life and also even the child, the effect on the child. You have psychosocial development that affect, because most of the time, these girls are now abreast with how to even take care of the child and even take care of themselves even during that pregnancy stage, and causes maternal mortalities.
Exactly.
Most of the time.
Talk about, because those kids or those maybe girls at that stage do not have the required strength to be able to go through the childbirth process. So that is what is causing maternal mortalities. Even though there are exceptions, some ladies are actually very strong, even though they are not all that old. But most of the times, that is what is causing maternal mortality.
And most of the time, their reproductive organs are not even much developed that they can even give birth naturally.
Yeah.
They need to go through CS.
Of course, because they are not really young, mature to go through those type of weight. So this is really important to know that the affects the communication about parents and child.
Yeah.
So they need to know how to communicate to their child.
Yeah.
But how can we do that?
Most of the times, as a parent, you know how to train up your child. You give birth to the child, you have that kind of link or connection between you and your child. So it starts from the infancy. You've given birth to a child, you need to develop that connection between you and your child. You don't have to create in such a way that your child be afraid to tell you anything that he or she encounters, anything that he or she sees or he or she hears. I have a friend, he told me that he started having sex at the age of 15. And then he told the mom, I've gotten a girlfriend. He said, be careful, don't impregnate the lady. You get it? And up to now, anytime he's going out, the mother gives him a condom. I'm not saying it's good, but at least the mother it's a way of preventing him from impregnating somebody's child. You get it? So most of the time, the mother, you have to know how to connect you and your child. That connection has to be there. But mostly, parents behave in such a way that their children are afraid of them. They can't even get closer to even express their challenges that they are facing.
Is it because of the culture or what?
I think so. I think they think that if they open up to them about this thing, that will rather encourage them to enter into it. But you should know that the child goes out and he meets different kinds of people, both good and bad. They may be engaging themselves in friends who are not good. So if you don't educate your child on that thing, how do you think that if he or she goes out there, the friend is going to educate him for you? And also another remedy for this teenage pregnancy is that you should provide contraceptives, because no matter how much you try to educate somebody, how much you try to talk to the person, it should be from the person's inner mind. The person should take the decision, I'm not going to engage myself into this. But if the person has decided that whatever you say, it passes through this year and comes out of this year, no matter what you do, the person won't budge. So you have to make sure that you provide contraceptives. The production of contraceptives should be more, so that pills and even condoms, so that the teenagers can also protect themselves
public
from
policies also play a role here. What are some of the public policies that help these our teenagers? In US, you have a policy called Title X. That's where it's a center for teenagers to go and seek for these advices on contraceptives, sex, on all that. But if you don't have such policies, sometimes you go to the hospital and the nurse said, you're a stubborn child, what do you want to know about this, what do you know about that? But if there's a place or a policy that will govern all this, I'm sure our teenagers will also be glad to also embrace it.
And then when you were talking about some of the cause of teenage pregnancy, you mentioned rape. So I want us to talk about rape.
Of course, because rape is another important factor related to the sex. And what do you think about the rape, Miss Sandra?
Okay, well, I think rape is a form of sexual assault that we met out to somebody without the person's consent. The person may be physically less stronger. The victim may not be stronger as the culprit who is raping the person, and then also the culprit may be in a higher authority. So the victim may be inferior to him, or maybe the victim may be incapacitated, unconscious. So these are some of the means by which we rape somebody. And then when we say rape, it's like a sexual assault. It involves any sort of penetration.
As you said, is to the opposite sex, male and female, having sex without someone's consent. You get it? And it can be the two ways around. Can be a lady raping a gentleman and a guy raping a lady.
Yes, of course. And what can be the cause of the rape? Is it because we are putting our sexy clothes that the men can rape us? Why?
Okay, well, I think that's one of the cause of rape, as you said. I'm not saying that as a lady you shouldn't dress how you want to dress, but you have to make sure that you are putting others into consideration and yourself as well. For example, you cannot tell me that you want to smoke, so you can smoke in anywhere, even in a public place. Definitely people will be affected, and you yourself. So you cannot say I'm dressing provocatively. I have dressed and I have hipped my breast. I have dressed and I have revealed certain parts of my body, even though it is your choice to dress as how you want to dress. But there's a saying that dress as how you want to be addressed. So if I see somebody who is always dressing like this, what perception do I have about the person? And you should know that the men out there, they are not sticks. They have these hormones that they are moved by what they see. So in order for you to help them to help you, don't even in the first place dress provocatively. You can dress decently and look very nice inside your dress.
But the issue is, should the dressing also lead to rape? Let's say I'm well blessed with this natural body, breast, my butts. I have big breasts, I have big butts, and then I've dressed the way I want. So you too can't also control yourself.
Well, you dress the way you want, but you have to put your own self into consideration.
Yes, that is my interest. Yes. I have dressed the way I want.
I know.
So you saw me, or if you know that you look at it and please close your eyes after I've passed, you continue.
I wish that the men will agree with you, but here they are not agreeing with you.
Then is it all men that also engage themselves in these rapes?
Not all men.
And here, so why is that some people can control and others can't?
That's because not everybody is the same.
Oh, sure, yes. So you can't tell me the way I should dress.
Yes. So if you know that, I know that definitely it is not the right way. You cannot tell me that because of the way I'm dressed, you're coming to rape me. It's not right. But because I know that you have made your head very hard, and you not know the reason why, and you not think like me, to know that you can close your eyes, but here's the case that you are not, and you are stronger than me, so you can rape me.
And
so I'm not.
But in certain country, like in Middle East, like they are not dressing so sexy, but they are still raped.
Yeah, they are still being raped. That's the exception. There's somebody who dresses very nice, but the person is still being raped.
Listen.
So it is not a
the problem is the mind of our men.
Exactly.
We need to teach them how to look. Don't
I
look
wish we
if
can.
you want to.
I wish we can.
Actually, I'm just confused here. How do you even define this provocative dressing? Listen, I do know most of the times even some bosses rape their mates in their houses. Do you know that? And then how do even our mates dress? Some of them have uniforms. Some of them they wear long skirts. They always put on scarves. They don't do makeup. They don't dress. You do get to even review their body parts, but they are still being raped.
I think
so. How do you tempt those provocative dressing?
What I'm saying is that the fact that I'm saying that if you dress provocatively you can be raped doesn't mean if you don't dress provocatively you cannot be raped.
Yes.
I don't think that what I'm saying means the opposite can't trigger the same action. The opposite can trigger the same action.
So the issue is, let's tell our men, please, you need to have self-control. You need to have your mindset on it. Sure, they have to listen.
Please,
if you don't listen and you go arrest someone, you go to jail.
The case you are not. So I'll protect myself because my men are not listening.
And mostly these rapes, also leads to getting unwanted pregnancies, and they lead to abortion.
Yes, of course.
You get it. And you have these abortion laws, and we talk about abortion laws. Sometimes the abortion laws permit the abortions. Sometimes they also prohibit. You get it. And you have circumstances where, and let's say in India, you have laws that permit, if only it's about race, or maybe you diagnosed the fetus, you did a scan, and there's a problem with the fetus, and then maybe the fetus has Down syndrome, then you need to maybe abort it. You get it. But in my view, abortion should be personal. Let's say I was raped. There are some emotional feelings attached to it. I don't want to have the baby, because anytime I give birth to the baby and I see the baby, the record of the action that passed, it will still run through my mind. So I want to get rid of it. But some laws don't permit it.
Yes, and it's really sadly to know that as a woman, we don't have the choice. We don't have the choice to know that if we want to do an abortion or not. And this is really sadly. Now in Alabama, we have a big movement of women that are fighting against this type of thing.
Oh, sure. And if you want to talk about this Alabama ban of abortion, even they are saying that if you were a doctor, and you, the doctor, try to abort the pregnancy of a raped girl, you even be sentenced the years will be more than the rapist. Can you imagine?
I mean, abortion is illegal, like in most communities and countries, but it is still very, very on the rise, because according to World Health Organization, WHO, it states that the rate of abortion in countries that are legally permitted and countries that are illegally permitted is similar. It means that countries that they even found an abortion and countries that they have agreed for the abortion to be done, the rates in these countries are similar. So it means that even as we have prohibited in some countries, it is still happening.
So why they are posing this law or this procedure about it? Is it because of the religion?
I think if some laws also prohibit abortion, it also helps in some way.
Yeah.
Because if it's totally allowed, then you can't imagine. You can't imagine what will be happening to our youth. God, they will just be indulging in sex and they will get pregnant. They will just be aborting, and then when they get married, they'll have problem of conceiving.
Yeah,
you get it.
Apart from that, it takes a toll on you, the woman. How are you sure that you are going for abortion? You won't end up dying. How are you sure that you'll be able to conceive again to give birth? So if some countries have prohibited it, it's all right, because they are trying to protect the lady. And then will you be able to like forgive yourself with the guilt that you have once in a while like aborted a baby, like killed, like as the people say, abortion victims are murderers?
Actually, that one I beg to differ, because I'm pregnant. I'm married. I got pregnant. I diagnosed my fetus, and I see that if I give birth to this child,
that one is different.
So that one I don't have that.
About that one.
Sure, yeah.
That one, sometimes when you go to the hospital and you get pregnant, you can tell you that when you give birth to this child, you may die.
Yeah.
So better to abort. That
so
one
it's
is
not
different.
always that you have those sentiments that when you abort a baby, you have
personal. Even those that they tell them to abort, sometimes it pains them. It pains them, but they don't release themselves in that guilt as compared to those that they had the chance to give birth and they still went ahead to abort. So, like on this note, we would like to know everybody's last words about this whole issue.
Oh, okay. Starting from premarital sex, from my point of view, it's not good to have premarital sex, because when you get married, you enjoy, you even get fed up. So why are we in a rush to do it before marriage? My dear viewers out there, please, premarital sex personally shouldn't be encouraged. When we talk about teenage pregnancy, it's so unfortunate that some of our teenagers get pregnant without their consent, because they may be raped or they may be sexually abused. But in case when you are pregnant, don't think that that's the end of your life. Just be encouraged and then give birth, and then after the birth, life continues.
Exactly. Okay, I also think that, as my Madam Patient said, when you are a lady or a guy, you shouldn't engage in premarital sex. I think the guys out there, that notion that I have to taste her, I have to see this about her and that about her, I think you have to nullify that notion in your head, because it is not helping the ladies and even you yourselves. And also teenage pregnancy, I think that our teenage ladies out there, including myself, we know we are the future leaders of this country. So I think that we should take the decision in our minds that we are not going to engage in sexual activity that will render us pregnant and unexpectedly, we should make sure that we obey our parents, and mothers and fathers, make sure that you open up to your children, bring them closer to you so that they can talk to you. And about the rape, I plead with our men out there that you should please bear with us, and also the ladies, don't try to provocate the men, don't try to seduce them, because it may end up somewhere you wouldn't want. And lastly, the abortion. I think that if we say it is prohibited in some countries, it is okay, because it is not good for your health. If you have made a mistake and you have gotten pregnant, don't think abortion is the only way out. Just be courageous, face your fears. You may not know the child that you are bringing into this world, who he or she will be. If the man who got you pregnant is saying that abort the baby, when you know that it won't affect you if you give birth to the baby, don't give in. If he wants to go, let him leave, and be courageous and take up the responsibility, because we know that whoever you believe in, whether it's God, whether it's Allah, whoever you believe in, will give you the means to take care of your child.
Yes, and as very emotional people, we women have unfortunately the first affected by this situation we're going through. So we need to have the wisdom to know how to manage all this situation. Dear viewers, unfortunately we can talk about all these topics, sex, all the day, but we don't have time.
Yes. Okay, viewers, thank you very much for joining us. See you next week. Bye.